She's a lady. I'm in my old videos. In my old videos, I would always start off singing. I would always start off all of my old videos, especially we talking about 2022. I started all my videos singing. I started all my videos singing. By the way, oh man, later on in the episode, I might show you something. I might show you guys something, man, because I'm not saying I'm a prophet, but I was to say this, man. Uh, there's this soccer player who's going viral because of his goal, and it's interesting. Like people are always shocked when certain people come through with the talent, and I'm never shocked. I will drop because I'll drop the video. I'll drop whatever the evidence at the time. I'll get no views, and I'll say, "Hey, remember I did this?" They'll be like, "What you talking about?" Oh man. Some of the videos that I got loaded up, they shouldn't be stuttering. It shouldn't be a problem today, but I'll say this, if the videos are working, this is gonna be a 2-hour show. The videos are not working, 1 hour and a half. No cap. Definitely no cap on that end. Oh man, let me see. What shall we use today? Because Ninja I already know I'm shadow banned. I already know that. I already know I'm shadow banned. Shoot. But yeah, I gotta find a way to incorporate some music or something. So what's it? Some copyright free music or whatever the hell works. Whatever works. Whatever works. Copyright music on any of that stuff, you know. Let's check. Let's make sure my spelling's okay. I'm already fucked up. Like in the beginning, I already messed up the spelling. I already messed up the spelling in the beginning. I misspelled postpartum. And I had to change it real quick before the 5-minute mark. I was just, I mean, before like 5 minutes before the show, I was like, oh hell no, I'm already messing up. Yeah, that edge, man, my education, it's not there. Like if you had, like, you can ask the people I went to school with. It's just school is just not like just. I'm just not good at school. That's just it's just not my thing, man. It happens. It happens to the best of us. School is just not my thing. Like I'll do like, people say, "Oh, I just show up to class and I didn't do homework and oh, I'll be good at tests." No, I was even good at tests. It's just, it's just like I could be like in a great environment in terms of school and just still fail the test. I don't know what is just it was just like the closest I came to being decent at school would be like certain math classes, but even then, like numbers weren't like math would not be impossible. The only time math was basically impossible for me was sophomore year, where you basically had to explain like the Pythagorean theorem. And I had this teacher where I'm not saying she was a bad teacher, but what she had us do every time just to prove that a triangle was a triangle, we had to write down individual proofs on why this. I'm talking about you had to list the reasons every time you proved it. And you're like, and at first when you saw it, you're like, don't tell me we have to do this every time. Yes, every single time. Every single time we had to do that. I was like, how is this? Why? Why do we have to do this? This is ridiculous. That was a scam. Sophomore math was a scam. And I think the first semester, I think I got an F. if I'm not mistaken. I was like, how did I get an F? I showed up to every class. I know I didn't do well on the test, but I never gotten an F on the test. So I didn't even buy. I was like, you know, fuck it. And then the second semester, I got a B plus or something crazy like that, a B. And I was like, "Ugh." So how, anyway, because like like they teachers, I don't think teachers are really, particularly the female teachers. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna say they don't know what they're doing, but they're very flawed, and they're wondering, and they're just shocked in finding out that AI is about to replace them soon. They just be shocked, and they really don't. It's not that they don't do anything, they just don't know how to manage their time, how to uh, uh, um, consolidate. That's the word I'm looking for. Consolidate their time to make sure everybody's getting, not everybody. I mean, meaning make sure all the subjects that they got to teach is put in a specific time, and then they're straight. And I don't know. I could do a whole show on that. Oh, I see somebody else. We got somebody else viewing. Let's see what we got here. I wish I could see who's who's viewing the shows, man. That would help a lot to know what stuff I can go over if I went over certain stuff and whatnot. But yeah, you guys see the title. You guys see the title. This will be, hopefully I can end this before 11. Hopefully, because it's not a whole lot to talk about. I already know the links that I need. It's not going to be a video. I have clips for different situations, but I don't even think it even has anything to really do with postpartum. But yeah. Yeah, that's the plan. I got a couple of clips that I can show in the meantime. I'm just waiting for one more person to join so I can show these clips. But in the meantime, we could still talk about these teachers. Like they they uh they really think, I don't understand, like they really think that they should be paid more, but my observation of these people growing up, you know what I mean, elementary, middle school, high school, even some of the professors, I'm sorry to say. And I'm like, they don't really deserve they don't really deserve their pay. I'm sorry. But anyway, let's go on to one of these clips I got. I don't know if I should show. Let's see what I should show. Shoot. By the way, because I dropped the sassy man's, because somebody had asked me about my opinion on the sassy man's apocalypse. Really, we shouldn't even be, men shouldn't even be responding to it, because they're just gonna put a whole list of stuff that does right, that doesn't matter what they think is a sassy man, but really it's just another way to call men gay without us being able to call them out on it. You know what I mean? But that's it's just another way to call men gay, because when men were calling them out on it, and and we started putting the logic, they stopped calling men gay. They stopped doing that. Now they just say, "Oh, he's sassy," or they call you sis, right? Or what they did to Kevin Samuels, it was calling him Auntie Samuels, Grandma Kevin. You know what I mean? Very, very disrespectful. Very disrespectful. So let me bring up one of these clips real quick. Because yeah, don't even respond to that ish. Do not even respond. Let me see. Let me bring up a video. Let me bring up a video. Clips that I had today. Here we go. Because I believe, when we talk about this mental health crisis that they say that we have, I I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. It's because it's interesting now that you can't put like where we used to have like the mental asylums, whatever. Since those are not there anymore, people are just so easy to say, "Oh yeah, I got this, I got that," and knowing they don't got to be placed in those spots. I mean, if they brought those spots back, those mental spots, they brought those places back because what would and I would say this, you can, and people might disagree with me when I say this. I say bring back the mental spots, but also bring back the abuse that came with it. And that's is messed up to say, but it's interesting. During that time, people were not claiming mental health at that time because they know if they put you at that spot, it's like man, there used to be consequences for claiming you know, psychosis, BPD, all that stuff, all those disorders that they like to claim that they have. Aut- now you got these girls saying that they're autistic on TikTok. TikTok. I say bring back those mental spots, and not only and bring back the abuse that came with that, and not only that, uh, if you're claiming mental health, you shouldn't be able to drive. So let's start revoking these driver's license, start revoking voters' rights, right? If you got if you really struggling with that, this is why I believe a lot of it, if it's not most, but a lot of it is cap. So let me bring this up again. So let me bring this up because I did a video on this already. Here we have the comedian. They call her Whitney Cummings. No pun intended, but people like to act like they don't know what men want. But at the same time, when we tell if the average man tells a woman what we want, she just doesn't feel like we deserve to get what we want. Only until a man of higher status, meaning just higher status than her, says the exact same things that we say, and then all of a sudden it's like, "Oh, I get it." But really, it's just they never respected you enough as a man to give it to you. Now, and here's how I know that they know. So when the passport bros go overseas and they're getting decent, it's not like they're getting king treatment. They're just being treated like a human being. And it's already a world of difference better than how the women here in America treat them. So compared to the treatment here, the overseas treatment that they get, they feel like a damn king. That's just how bad American women treat the average man. They don't even realize it, but they don't see it. You know what I mean? So let's listen to what Whitney Cummings says right here.
I dated a professional athlete, great at what he does. There's not a lot of room for emotion to be involved. It's either true or it's not true, or you're going to get your neck broken. He could date whoever he wanted or sleep with whoever he wanted. And we were like arguing about something. And I was like, well, why would you date me if like I'm the person you date if you want like a challenge?
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
And he just went, why would any man want a challenge in their relationship? In that moment was like, oh my God, I thought it was like hot to you. I thought it was like what guys wanted. I thought it was like feisty. Like, I apologize.
Well, especially if you're dating somebody that is high performing in any realm, has goals. If you're working that hard in the office, you really want to come home and be like, right, there's that to-do list done. I wonder what fires I need to fight when I step through the front door as well.
I dated a...
So here, and I want you to look at the comment section. And what you see, so here you have Zuby. What I consider him a trad con, kinda. But I like some of the stuff that he has to say. So right here he says drama is not cute nor attractive. A woman who gives you war instead of peace is not an asset. Now, plenty of men have said this. Most men will say this exact same things, but if the like, for example, when the passport bros have said this, or if the average man says this, oh, what do you want? You want a slave? This is they always say, oh, you're taking away our freedoms. Don't you want a slave? Don't you want a woman that can challenge you intellectually? No, we don't. and we'll continue. We always say this, right? And they'll just act like what we say just goes out one ear and out the other. They just do not care. They just do not care to make you happy. Now, she's talking about a professional athlete, and like I said, women love to claim that they dated, but that just that just means that they were smashing for a period of time. Because notice she can't say his name because clearly there was an NDA signed, so clearly it wasn't that serious where you could claim his name. So clearly this was a very famous athlete, right? This was a very famous athlete, probably a football player. If not a football player, somebody said it might have been this goofy ninja, Brandon Shaw. I've seen him. I don't think that was him because it had to be somebody like of real like status. I think like it had to be somebody of real status, not some wannabe funny ninja. No disrespect to Brandon Shaw, but he comes across as a goofy. But I'm gonna assume it's a football player because the way she described, you know. Now she's gonna act like I get it. I get it. Man want peace. She already knows that. She just doesn't care to give it to you because she feels you don't deserve it. And we see it with the passport bro movement. You say these men don't deserve this. I'm not giving this man that, whatever. But once they go overseas to get it, now it's a problem. Now you're saying, now you're shaming these men that you don't want, that you don't feel like that deserves good treatment. They go elsewhere to get it, and it's a problem, which shows you that I don't even think really when they're looking at these guys, I really think in my mind, I think in what I think how they're thinking of the women that are shaming the passport bros. And I've even seen women, I've seen a woman on here say, "Oh, have you seen the passport bros getting killed over there?" Like she's celebrating the ish, celebrating it. And she said that, and she verbatim, I'm not making this up. She said they deserve what's coming to them. And I was like, are you so you say that you don't want these guys, you're not willing to give them the treatment that they want, so they go elsewhere to get it. And you have a problem with that, even though you don't want them. So in my mind, I'm like, so do you even think these guys deserve to exist? This is what I'm starting to get. And low key, the reason why I can even connect this situation that I'm bringing to when it comes to postpartum, the postpartum depression, I have to call into question everything now. The way I see women treating, particularly American women, British women, Australian women, how they treat men, I really have to take into consideration now. Is postpartum depression a myth? Because I look at, if you see the thumbnail, I put Nick Cannon in there. And what's interesting is these guys, Nick Cannon, Future, I love to bring them up, right? None of their women are claiming postpartum depression. And none of them really can really be there for their kids because they have so much kids. But it's interesting. They're all basically paid for. They're all getting their child support. And it seems like I haven't heard nothing about no postpartum depression coming from them or coming from a woman that's basically part of a harem of baby mothers. I don't really see them claiming postpartum like that, especially when they're financially taken care of, or basically if it's a guy. Where I see the guys where the woman is financially taken care of, I'm talking about well beyond her means, and the guy is famous. I never see them claim postpartum depression. It seems like I see it claimed amongst what we call the average guy. It seems like the average dudes are getting basically the everyday man to man. These are the people that are taking the brunt of all these women's mental health issues, postpartum depression, and all this stuff. And I'll even say this: what pushed me to believe postpartum depression is a myth is I saw a clip last year, and it was a child. He looked about 6 or 5 years old, about probably 5 years old. He looked like no earlier than 4 years old. And the mother pushed him in front of a moving bus. Pushed him in front of a moving bus in the public. Just pushed him in front. And I was like, whoa. So they obviously arrested the mother. I don't know if they charged her with murder or manslaughter or attempted manslaughter. I forgot particularly, but what was interesting, the top comment in that video was talking about, man, postpartum depression is real. And I was like, the kid is 5. What are we talking about postpartum depression? So I'm like, are you guys just using that as as just the ultimate get out of jail free card? This is where my suspicions of this postpartum depression thing. Now, most men are not most men are afraid to kind of address it because the obvious backlash. I mean, just the title alone. You can't say this stuff in public. You ain't gonna get no pussy, bro. If you saying the stuff that I'm saying in public. But in a space like this, we have to start calling into question these things when we talk about BPD, we talk about bipolar. Even when I did the live stream when we talked about narcissistic personality disorder, right? The mental health stream. We have to really call into question these definitions, and we got to see what's going on with this thing here because this is ridiculous. Let's see if we can find another clip. By the way, anybody in the chat, feel free to join in on the discussion. Hit the like button, subscribe if need be. You know what I'm saying? Also, thank you for getting me, because now I'm at 1.07K. I think that's 1,070 subscribers. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to bring up another video in the meantime, which is not necessarily related, but basically everything that you can pull up. You know, I can go a little bit off topic here and there. It's technically everything can all be connected at the end of the day. Right here. Because a lot of my titles on my channel is such and such a myth. Is this Pyro, what's up, bro? What's up, man? Oh shit. I see that. He said, I mean, bro, pause. What's up, bro? I know what you meant. I know what you meant. Because when I see that, I automatically be editing people's stuff in my head. But you see the title, is postpartum depression a myth? I think it's a fair question to ask, considering the circumstances. And I was just saying how I started calling into question postpartum depression being a myth last year when a kid got pushed in front of a moving bus by a mother, and the kid was about 4 or 5 years old, and the top comment in the section was, "Oh man, postpartum depression is so real." And I'm like, the kid is 6. I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's clear to me that women are using these diagnoses as get out of jail free cards to act any certain type of way. You know, even to the point where I remember there was this guy, Alpha Dog Greg. He's one of those alpha dudes that likes to claim alpha. Even I don't agree with any of that stuff. So I thought I was gonna. So when I saw one of his tweets, I was like, oh, here we go. One of those wannabe alphas, right? And he said, yeah, I see videos like that. So I thought it was one of those wannabe alphas, but he made a tweet and he said, postpartum depression is not a license for you to act like a bish, or basically for you to act out. And even though I don't agree with his philosophy per se of his alpha is, because I don't believe in the alpha stuff and the beta stuff, but I had to agree with that post. I'm like, he's right. He's right. He's 100% right, because it seems like when these things happen, it seems like every time a woman is going through some kind of psychosis or whatever, something happened, then they always bring up mental health as a crutch, some kind of diagnosis. But it's interesting, the ones that they don't claim, like narcissistic personality disorder. You know what I mean? So it's time to he said, is it women trying to off their own kids? Well, postpartum, yeah, we're gonna go into that. We're gonna go into that because I found an article, well, a couple of articles, and it's literally it's a psych article from Psych Central. So this is a liberal, psychology letter. This is the stuff that all the psychologists use as the guideline, and I'm gonna show you some interesting stuff in there. I'm gonna show you, and it's gonna show you that most of these women that were talking about, oh, I had postpartum depression, they're capping. I got an article, like I'm talking about a liberal article, and you'll see the definition. So you'll be like, huh. I've never really heard women talking about. I'll give you a bonus. I'll give you a preview before I get into the article. Do you know that men can suffer from postpartum? Now, most women don't know this. And if you told the average 304 that men can actually suffer from postpartum, they'll look at you like you're crazy. But the article, it's in the article. It's in the article. They even show you the statistics. This is from like a liberal. I pick these articles very carefully, and it shows you that most of the women that are claiming postpartum, they're very uninformed about it, and really they're using it as a crutch. Anyway, so we'll get into that later. But I just want to show some videos real quick. He said, "Is it?" But you said, "Is it women trying to off their own kids?" It's way deeper than that, because really what you're describing is a type of psychosis, and that's actually very rare. It's very rare, but you'll see it's very deep. The article's very deep though, and it's interesting. It's very interesting. It's basically the article's talking about the myths. But no, not the myth. Basically, the misconceptions of postpartum depression. But you see a lot of women claim it, but they don't even really know what it is. But that's women. That's claiming stuff that they don't really know. And by the way, man, I hope there's this asshole in my comment section that got me tight. This is a bit off topic because I just talk about, claiming stuff that they don't know. This guy was trying to tell me two people on when I was talking about industry plants, right? This guy was trying to tell me, and I'm still waiting for his response, that I basically said Ice Spice was fucking somebody, and that's how she got into the industry. I wasn't specific. Really, but I said somebody that was well connected in the industry. I think it was somebody from her college that was connected to like an industry mogul or something. That's what I remember reading somewhere. But basically, my premise was she fucked somebody to get into that. That was basically my premise. So even if I'm wrong about, oh, it wasn't the dude from her college, it was she fucked. I was like, this guy was trying. That's not how Ice Spice got discovered. I'm like, okay, so who did she fuck? And please don't tell me Drake. That's not how it starts. That's not how you don't just get discovered by Drake. That's not how this life works. She had to fuck somebody. This is how the industry works, bro. Especially when you're talking about female artists. Unless if you're grandfathered in, you have to, meaning like if it's a girl that had, like, meaning if that was, oh, sorry, I thought I saw something. If that was a girl, meaning like I'm getting stuck on my words. If the girl already had like a relative in the industry, okay, she might not have to give up ass, i.e. Coi Leray, right? Even though she's technically a plant, but there's certain things you can't really do to her because Benzino's her father. But obviously, yeah, Drake must have gotten so he was trying to. So the guy's point is basically trying to say, "Oh, that's not how you need to do your research." I'm like, okay, so who does she fuck? Please enlighten me, because how does that change my message? How does that change my message? All you can say, no, he didn't. You could have just told me, oh no, she didn't fuck him. She fucked him. Okay, I can accept that correction, but the way he put it is like, I'm like, okay, so who did she fuck? She just came out of nowhere off talent. Stop. you're just being an asshole. You know what I mean? And here, this is what really triggered me. This guy, because I said when we talked about male industry plants, I try to give examples. So Drake is an example of an industry plant. Kevin Hart to a lesser extent, even though he obviously these guys put in work before they got in, but meaning these guys were selected to be the number one. And I put that in quotation marks. So when people say Kevin Hart's the number one comic, no, he's just the number one brand. He was selected. Like out of all of the comedians, he's obviously not the funniest, right? So I said those guys can qualify as an industry plant by Keke Palmer's definition, because Keke Palmer's definition was basically somebody with no talent using the connections that they know to get ahead in the industry, right? So I said this is going to be another commenter that really irritated the hell out of me with this stuff. I said Jay-Z is an industry plant. He's a prime example of an industry plant. So, of course, the guy, he's not going to admit that he's a Jay-Z fanboy, right? He's not going to admit it. But first of all, I don't even really want to bring up Jay-Z's name too much. I don't want to get my stream shut down, but if you do the research behind Jay-Z, the people that he's connected to, the small hats people that he's connected to, it kind of explains itself, but I don't want to get too deep because this is, like I said, this is a Manosphere channel. This is a Manosphere channel. We're not going to go into all of that. I can lead you to another channel to watch about Jay-Z, right? But Jay-Z was placed, and I was trying to tell the guy, I'm like, dude, Jay-Z was not talented than any of his peers growing up. He started late 80s, early 90s. The people that he was running with, he was not talented than any of those people. Big L. I'm talking about the people that he was running with and running against. He was talented. He was better than none of those guys. But he was decent at business, and meaning decent at business, meaning he did some cutthroat stuff to get where he was. And like I said, to get the wife that he got in Beyonce, another industry plant, you have to do certain things that I can't go into in this channel. I can't go into this. People have already covered this already, but I was trying to tell you this is you got to do certain things. I don't want to say the R word, the rich word. There's certain procedures that you have to do to get ahead. For example, I know a person, a very athletically gifted person. He or she decided not to partake in the athletics, even though they were great in their athletics in their prospective high school, right? But he or she, damn, I almost gave it up. He or she decided not to pursue it. And I understood why. There are certain things you have to do, right? In terms of, it's rare that you can just get in the in club, which is talent. When you're going into, especially particularly if you got like a female in your family that's doing athletics, a lot of the times to get initiated in, particularly when you're talking about D1 sports and big schools, they have to because there's a lot of lesbians that do female athletics. So you got to be initiated in, if you know what I mean. And damn, I'm already giving up the person. That person, I'm just saying, like, there's certain things that you got to do. or if you want to join certain fraternities. This is why I was never a fan of that fraternity stuff. There's certain fraternities you got to join. You got to do some things to get in. This, and the reason why people kill themselves to get into these fraternities, right? The sororities, right? The sorority house, is because of the connections that you can make in the future. There's certain jobs that people get just because of their sorority for fraternity connections. They found that you were from there. This is why they kill themselves to get into these things, because most people are not talented. And if you can't get in that way, you better have straight A's. I'm talking about 4.3. And most people, they just can't do that. So that's how it works. Jay-Z was never an excellent rap. Like, people don't even understand. Like, Jay-Z doesn't write, I'm not gonna say most of his lyrics, but he doesn't write, I think he doesn't write most of his lyrics, but he definitely does not write a lot of his lyrics, right? And I'm talking about the guy in the comment section. He even admits this. So I'm like, so how does a guy that doesn't even write his own stuff most of the time get to the position that he's in, gets the wife that he gets, even though people need to read the contract that him and his that was an arranged situation. When you talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce, that's an arranged situation. You have to start putting two and two. People got to start putting two and two together. Like, well, I thought that was obvious. Jay-Z is being an industry player. I thought that was obvious. You know what I mean? That doesn't mean he's a terrible human, but if you see, well, Jay-Z and Beyonce are connected to certain things that yeah. Anyway. Let's stop mentioning their names before I get my stuff put down. But those people he got me so tight with that. I'm like, Jay-Z's an obvious industry plant. I said, yeah, Saucy Santana's an industry plant. But the topic was, because I wanted to go in on the women that are industry plants, but it's so obvious with them. Like, so obviously Meg The Stallion, Ice Spice, Cardi B, what else? Beyonce, to a lesser extent, Nicki Minaj. She was obviously placed where she was, obviously, but I've seen Nicki Minaj do certain things that industry plants really are not really allowed to do, where she'll show up certain places, like same with Rihanna. She is an industry plant-ish, but she does certain things that most people, with the freedom that she kind of walks with, is she's making a call, meaning she's smashing who she wants to smash. Okay, so she's making that call. So that's why I don't even really want to say Rihanna is, right, or Nicki Minaj, because they're making their own calls on what they where they are is where they want to be, if that makes sense, right? Beyonce, she's an industry plant, and she's done some gangster stuff where I'm like, ooh, I would have messed with. I've heard, there's literally a video of Beyonce literally laughing. She breaking rules. Like, yeah, Nicki Minaj, she breaks a lot of rules that I'm like, okay, yeah, she's been placed, but she does things where I'm like, oh, okay, so she kind of came from us, but she just, got her way to the top and did what she needed, and then just obviously did what she needed to do to stay there, right? But when I'm talking about Beyonce, like, she's cutthroat, meaning I've seen a video of Beyonce literally laughing while watching another lady perform, and she says, "Man, we about to steal all her stuff." I'm like, what? And people excuse this. I was like, wow, okay, okay, this is what we do. This is what we do. We just stealing people's stuff. And Jay-Z's kind of cut from that same cloth. So Jay-Z to me is an industry player, and he's clearly certain things that I've seen him do business ventures wise, even with like the NFL, him all of a sudden talking about, oh, I'm against the NFL, and then all of a sudden, oh, I'm the head chairman of this. And I'm like, oh, so you're clearly reachable. They clearly reached you and was like, okay, I want you to do this. Because clearly Jay-Z still answers to certain people. The way he moves, he answers to people. right? So, but this guy was. I'm like, you clearly don't. If you can't see that Jay-Z, guys like Jay-Z, Drake, these guys are industry plants. They're like in terms, they don't have talent. Especially Drake. Drake is a great actor. Drake is a great actor. Now Jay-Z, I'm not. He's Jay-Z is what is the definition of a marginally talented rapper. And most of his best hits were written. And he hires a lot of ghostwriters. People don't understand how this ghostwriting stuff works. I'm gonna say this about myself. I put a verse out there that I sold to somebody, and I said I don't want no credits. Just give me my money because I don't have a rapping voice. I put a verse out there for somebody, and they took it. Like people don't understand. Like even with that word, like yes, I've written a rap for somebody before. I've written a rap for somebody before. It's not somebody famous, but I got some decent money out of it. But I've written for somebody before. And I've written an R&B song. Now, it hasn't been used yet, but people don't understand, even with ghostwriting, writing in general, like Jay-Z, you hires a lot of writers, dog. Jay-Z hires a lot of writers. Right? When we talk about talent and marginal talent. Yeah, R&B. I've written an R&B song for somebody. Now they haven't used it yet. They haven't used it, and it's not for somebody like uberly famous. But even like how this stuff works, you'd be surprised the people that actually will make some decent money here and there hire some help. Now R&B is different. Like R&B, you all share ideas and whatnot. You're like everybody's sharing, ideas. Right, like when you look at Aaliyah, you look at Static Major. Static Major basically did everybody's hits, but he was the writer. Sometimes he was credited, sometimes he wasn't. That's the industry. That like R&B, everybody shares this stuff. So that's R&B is just singing, so everybody's sharing their idea. That's different. But with rap, what's unique about rap is it's very prideful on you got to write your own stuff to claim that you're the best. Now, Jay-Z has hired a lot of help. He's hired a lot of help. Pusha T being one of his main ones, and a lot of the stuff I've heard verses where I'm like, this is Pusha T's verse. Dude, like musically inclined, I can literally listen to a lot of people, especially tracks from the past, a lot of R&B stuff. I can literally hear it and be like, "Oh, R. Kelly produced it." I don't even need to look at the credits. Said ambient R&B is good, and people will be surprised. People need to understand a lot of when you talk about Cardi B, Meg Thee Stallion, Beyonce. These men have written their hits. A lot of gay men have written their hits too. And women will literally use these lyrics as gospel. I'm like, gay men wrote these songs, right? They don't even like they don't even know. people don't understand how this stuff works, man. they don't know how this stuff works. All these people shitting on all these Meg Thee Stallion fans he probably wrote half of her stuff. He wrote Cardi B's hits. They don't know. They just don't know. They have no idea, dog. The people that they like to hold up in the air. I'm like, these people have out. Tyrese came on the Breakfast Club. He put the business out there. He said, bro, 80% of the rappers, 80%. He said 80%. That's damn near the whole industry, dog. 80%. He's not lying about this. When men say certain statistics, you gotta listen to it. He said 80%, and I figured that anyways, because I don't heard Drake say certain. I'm like, I already heard this from a freestyle rapper. I'll give you another hint. When we talk about, the freestyle battles, what's it, Smack URL, these things, those freestylers, they write for a lot of your favorite rappers, dog. That's how they be making their money. And they be like, man, you'll see somebody, and they're like, oh, they seem to have some decent money coming in, but they be low key. And I see them on Smack Your, a lot of your favorite freestylers, they done wrote a lot of your favorite hits for these people. Now, whether they were sometimes they're credited on the transcript, sometimes they're not, but they still got something out of it. But like I said, this is when we talk about industry play. I could do a whole episode on that. But we on the 45-minute mark. I was going to show another video. I can this is the stuff I'm actually passionate about, to be honest, when it comes to this industry stuff, when it comes to the POLITIs, the ticks, the P ticks. I'm interested in those are the stuff that actually interests me, because it's interesting. The people, they'll bring in information, or sports. When we're talking about sports, it's interesting, man. It's interesting. People's opinions on it. I'm like, they're very ignorant. They're very ignorant on how this stuff works. So let's share this screen real quick. I want to show, this is a bit unrelated, but I want to show you this video. This is a bit unrelated. But before I go in on postpartum depression, I'm going to hit that at the hour mark. Once I hit the hour mark, then I'm going to go into that. Oh, well, it's already 10:06, but once I hit the hour mark, I'm going to get into that. So let's watch this video right here. So here, this is the stuff that I talk about, because so some of the times the security guards will catch these underage girls coming in with their fake IDs. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they check it, sometimes they don't. If it's a dude that they know that comes in with an underage girl, they won't question the if they know the dude, they won't question the girl. And the girl will be like 15, 16. I didn't seen this stuff. So here, watch this situation right here.
Never hand your ID over if he's collecting the whole group at one time. Never hand your ID over if he's collecting the whole group at one time.
Now, I'll say this. Clearly they're underage. Clearly they're under 21. Clearly they're under 21 years old. Clearly. But we see this all the time. I see these people. Sometimes they come in, sometimes they don't. I see these people at the bars all the time. And this is why when I make these titles, right? Postpartum depression is a myth. Grape culture is a myth, right? There's no such thing as deadbeat dads, right? When I make these things, I sincerely believe this when I say grape culture is a myth, right? If this is such a problem, why do you have a fake ID? Why do you have a fake ID? To do what? What's your excuse? What's your excuse? And when you look at the comment section, it was a lot of people defending the girls coming in. And this is why I was trying to tell you, people be feeling bad for the underage girls, so they'll just let them come in, or they'll sandbag off somebody, and they'll come in. So this is what I mean when I say grape culture is a myth. This is one of the reasons right here. If grape culture is a myth, right? Why do you have a fake ID? Because let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about this. Let's put it back on me. If grape culture is a myth, oh, he said they need a machine. I know somebody, they had like this. It's a special pen that you can a light, that a purple light that you could put on to see. But like I said, if grape culture is such a problem in the States, why do you have a fake ID? Why do you need the fake ID for? To drink? No, you don't need to go to a bar to drink. You can all those white girls, all of them got alcohol. Damn near all of them got alcoholic parents. They can literally just go to their cabinet and get what they need. They could have their own party. They could have their own party at their house, or they can literally get their girlfriends to come over and just be like, "Yo, let's drink. I found my mom's stash." You don't need to go to a bar to do that. So you're going to the bar to get attention, not even from from grown men, and you're just trying to see what that real life is like about. And then at the same time, you're going to talk about, oh, these men are predators, oh, these this, but you're going to the spot where all the predators usually are, the bars, the nightclubs. This is where most of these things happen, where women are getting groped, women are getting leered at, stared at, right? Like they say they don't. They don't. He said, do they want to get hit up by grown men? That can't be it. It's impossible. But I say this, when I bring this stuff up, people be getting mad at me. I'm like, look, if you got a fake ID, you can't be talking about men being this, men being. You got a fake ID so you can get attention from grown men. Now, whatever comes with that, you got to live with it. I'm sorry. You can't be talking that we got to change all this stuff for you because you want to act grown. It makes absolutely no sense. Absolutely no sense to me. This is why when I say these things, grape culture is a myth. Let's bring up just pearly things real quick, right? How like she's talking about in her Me Too story about her coach acting like she didn't know what was up when her coach invited her former coach invited her at the bar. Now, mind you, she was already past 18, right? You should have already knew what was up. You should have known what was up. And on top of that, she talking about, oh yeah, I had a fake ID. And I'm like, oh, so you on that bullshit? If you got I'm sorry, you got a fake. You a woman. You got a fake ID under the age of these people be having these fake IDs when they were under the age of 18. They be having these fake IDs under the age of 18. And you want to talk about what men need to do, man? Stop, stop. You on that bull? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can't. You can't do this to me. Like I'm sorry. You can't. You can't. You don't. You can't be doing this to me. Because no, the problem is with guys like me. I can a lot of the times now. I don't bother to look, but what happens is if you're a short guy, right, or you're a shorter guy, right, if you're under the height of 5'8", I'm 5'7", meaning like I'm 5'7" barefoot. I'm 5'7" barefoot, but like I put some Timbs on. I'm a little taller, but since I'm at that height, if you're 5'8", 5'7", 5'9", right, or you're 5'6", 5'5", you can get a good look straight across from the woman, from the average American woman, right? Because they're around your size. So you can take a look at the girl, really at her face, and be like, huh, something's not right. She looks grown, but there's a little bit too much makeup. Because you're right. He said, that's why. He said, that's why if I say anything that went bad, remember, you did this. You did this. You did this. It reminds me of that Netflix movie, Beast of No Nations with Idris Elba. That shit, that dude was scandalous how he set up his lieutenant to get shot and killed. Talking about you did this. That was scandalous. Anyway, you can get a closer look if you're a shorter guy, if you're a short guy. And you can really take a judge. I'm like, she look a little too young. So if you're a shorter guy, you can get away with that. But most men are what, 5'9", 5'10". So the average American man is still, even if they want to say 5'10" is short, which is not true at all. 5'10", if you're 5'10", you're still towering over most 304s. So you're looking down a lot of times at her. So you're not really taking a good look. You're just, okay, she's here. She must be legal. And by the way, if you're going around talking about, oh, let me see your ID before I talk to you, she's gonna get mad at you. You're not gonna get laid that night if you're going around asking people for IDs, unless if you're like a giga Chad. And even then, it's They're not. Dudes are not just going around the clubs asking for IDs before you start hitting them up. You're just assuming everybody's good to go. This is why when people talk about, oh, they should know better. Then she said, no, maybe somebody like me, since I'm 5'7", so I can get a good look. You can't really get a good look if you in a club flashing lights and you're towering over the 304. But this is why, like, as the more that women talk about stuff like this, it is clear to me why the people of old times in the ancient times, they just did not allow them to run things. It's clear to me now. I'm like, oh, this is why they allow them to run things. Clearly, because they're just like, they don't know. Sorry, I had to check the sound real quick. But yeah, they don't know how the real world. They like to be jail baits. They talk about grape culture, but they have fake IDs. Like, so what? Even when I talk about this, grape culture in college is a myth. Why? Because where does the stuff? Okay, who are the men that get accused of doing this or get caught doing this? Is usually the athletes, the frat boys, or whoever's the most popular person on the floor. Whoever the super seniors are, is these people. The person with the most clout on the campus floor. Now, who are the dudes that the women chase after? These three people. They don't ever chase after nobody at the chess club. They don't chase anybody that does fencing, right? It's always, you know what I mean, who's on the math club. They don't do that. And alcohol is involved. They said like 90% of the time alcohol is involved. But they all want to go out and drink. So what can we do to help you? You don't want to help yourself, so why should we help you? Anyway, let's see if we got another video that I can load up real quick. Let's see if we got another one. Because I like entering these topics before I go into the main one. I think I hit the hour mark, though. I think I hit the hour mark. Oh, no, not yet. I still got 3 minutes. I still got 3 minutes before the hour mark. Let's see if we got, oh, right here. This is because, you see, I love Africans, man. Africans, what's beautiful about Africans is, especially like when you're talking about, even when you're talking about the West Africans, it don't matter really. Like when you're talking about the Western Central, Southern Africans, but particularly the Western and Southern Africans, some Central Africans, not necessarily the North Africans, even some of them, but particularly the West Africans and these people, the Southern Africans, they're gonna tell you the truth, dog. I got this video right here. They're not gonna hold when it comes to the English language to them. They don't hold back. They're gonna tell you how they feel. They're not going to hold their tongue. They're gonna tell you how. There's no filter. So let me show you this real quick, because we found the librarian Andrew Tate. Hold up, because I remember I saw another guy who they called the African Andrew Tate, and he said the guy that was like, one drunk man is smarter than two women with PhDs, which I low key believe that. I'm not even gonna lie. I don't think he's he's saying facts. But here we got another. This guy's from Liberia, and he doesn't believe in feminism, right? And a lot of Africans, they don't believe in that stuff, particularly the males. And it's clear that the younger males are still carrying the tradition. So here, let's hear what he has to say.
I stand against the issue of women having equal right with men in the home, and women must be submissive. It never used to happen like that. The only reason why we have a feminist, we have a woman activist, is because they have acquired education.
So would you rather they just stayed at home, weren't educated? Like
That's the role of a woman. They have to be home. They have to take care of the house, the home, the house activities. That's it. That's tradition. That's our culture. Why is that you should adapt the other people's culture?
Okay, so quick question. I'm a woman here who's doing this job of asking questions and moderating. I would say I'm independent. Does that bother you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So my my video's cutting up, even though it was not doing that earlier on. But she asked a question that she was not ready for the answer for. So she asked, I'm independent. She said, I'm independent. Do you like me doing what I'm doing? And he was like, no. They're not ready, because what happens if it was an American TradCon, he would have prefaced his comment. He would have prefaced his comment. You know how to I'm not saying that woman needs he just oh yeah, Jamaicans, they don't hold back on the truth either. I always say this. It's two people I love hearing, two types of people I love hearing them speak English: Jamaicans and the Irish or the Scottish. Either one of them, the Irish or the Scottish and the Jamaicans. These three, I'll say these three groups of people I love when they talk, because it's really, there's no it's very low when they speak when all three groups of these people using the English language, it's no filter. It's really it's like legit. When we talk about Irish people, anybody, people need to look up Roy Keane, a footballer, a former Manchester United footballer. This guy, he says what he means and he means what he says. He says what he means, mean what he says, and he was for real. Like he's not like the typical, you know how like the typical old heads, like they'll be hating on the younger generation, and they'll be like, why these young dudes dress like this and blah blah blah. And then you look up photos from them in the past, and then they were doing way worse. No, Roy Keane, he's a real he's a cork when we call he's a real Cork boy. Real Cork boy from Ireland. He's a real Cork boy for real. He's a real dude. When he played in the past, he didn't have no fancy haircut. He just had his regular hair. When it's time for a haircut, just shaved it off. He didn't have no special. He didn't have no tattoos, no earrings, none of that. He literally just showed up, put on his Diadora cleats. He wore Diadora cleats. He didn't wear no Nike, Adidas, Puma, nothing. Just some Diadora. He wore his Diadora cleats, went on the pitch and did his job. That's what he did. He's really straight laced like that. No, so for me, my hat's off to Roy King for being one of the rare OGs out there, but he was not a hypocrite. He really meant, yeah, Roy Keane is as real as it gets out there. He didn't, no tattoos, no earrings, just showed up with his Diadora cleats and went and played. That's what he did. Real tough, hard nosed, in the middle of the park with Paul Scholes in them. But Paul Scholes, he doesn't know what he's talking about half the time. But Roy Keane, I have respect for Roy Keane. So the Irish, the Scottish, and the Jamaicans, I just love hearing them talk, because they, first of all, they keep it a buck, and they have a way with the English language where it's very vivid when they use the English language. That's why I like hearing them talk. Particularly I'll say this, man, Scottish people, they really don't. They, first of all, they drink like a motherfucker, and then they be drunk. They drink like it's nothing. And on top of that, they really not scared of nobody. They not they don't care, dog. They really, the Scottish people, they really not scared of nobody like that. Like a real Scotsman, they like fear. Like, or like if you encounter like say like a racist white Scotsman, he's not racist because he's afraid. He's just he's just that because just to be a dick. Just to be a dick. That's how that's how the Scots are. They really they don't give a fuck about nothing. Nothing. They don't really they not scared. They not scared of nothing. So now we hit the hour mark. A bit 5 minutes past the hour mark. And this is beautiful. So we can end right before 11. This is beautiful. So right here, we're gonna go in on postpartum depression, right? And before I even show you the articles from Psych Central, we're gonna look up the definitions like we did with narcissistic personality disorder, like we did with BPD. And my initial analysis on when we talk about borderline personality disorder is these disorders are very vague, right? And it's commonly diagnosed. It's almost like diagnosing somebody with a stomach problem with IBS is very vague, and there's just really nothing you can do about it per se, right? So let's look up the definition of postpartum depression. And what's interesting about the definition of, like, say, a narcissistic personality disorder, the reason why women don't claim it, because if you look at the definition and the symptoms of it, it cuts at you. It's very distinct. It's very straightforward what it is. And if you got that attached to you, you can't claim that you're a victim, right? So postpartum depression. What is postpartum depression? Here we're gonna have Google, right? We're gonna use Google real quick. He said they must try to chin up the vodka drinkers. The Scottish. I'll say, I got this Irish guy that I that does that I played with. Music wise, he's a drummer. This dude, he can literally, before every gig, he would literally take a whole like the regular glass beer mug. He takes like the whole thing before he plays, and he doesn't get drunk. He just it's nothing to him. It's not, this guy's a savage. These people, and mind you, he's a liberal too. So that just shows you like that it's just that Irish blood, that Scotsman's blood, the Irish blood. These people, bro, they are not to be played with. I don't care if he's a liberal. I don't care if you think he's soft. They not. They got something different in their blood. Englishmen's probably soft, right? Like when you're talking about like the Scousers can be a bit from England. They get confused with the Scotsmen, but they're different. They're different. Okay, let's share this tab. Postpartum depression. Now we're talking about the subject here, right here. Let's look at these descriptions. Postpartum depression, also called PPD, is a medical condition that many women get after having a baby. It's strong feelings of sadness, anxiety, worry, and tiredness that last for a long time after giving birth. These feelings can make it hard for you to take care of yourself and your baby. Interesting. Now, let's read this overview of it. Depression that occurs after childbirth. Those who develop postpartum depression are at greater risk of developing major depression later on in life. Symptoms might include insomnia, loss of appetite, intense irritability, difficulty bonding with the baby. Untreated, the condition may last months or longer. Treatment can include counseling, antidepressants, or hormone therapy. Interesting. And they said this is very common, more than 3 million US cases per year. They said it's treatable by a medical professional. Medium term resolves within months, requires a medical diagnosis, lab tests or imaging not required. Right? So when you're looking at these definitions, it's almost like these zodiac signs, right? It's very like these are very vague symptoms. These are very vague symptoms that basically, even if a woman is not claiming postpartum depression, or like basically if a woman is just a regular normal woman goes through childbirth, she's going to experience these things, right? So it's very vague. It's not really, I'm not saying not to take it seriously, but these are very vague things. And what's interesting when we're talking about strong feelings of sadness, anxiety, tiredness, but what's interesting is when you got these girls, right? When they're trapping NBA ball players, okay? Trapping them. They seem to never really exhibit these symptoms. This is my thing. Myth. Cause let me see if the articles should still pop up right here. Psych Central. Yes, yes, yes. So I found my article. My dumbass didn't save it, but thank you. I was able to find it. But right here, we're gonna go to Psych Central because the definition is very broad. But right here, we're gonna go on Psych. This is a very liberal type, very modern, right? This article written in January 13th, 2022, 2 years ago. So this is a very fairly recent article. And if you look at the woman in this that made this article, what's her name? Sarah Polly. Oh, medically reviewed by Vera Sarah Polly, but it's by Stacy Nash. Okay. Yeah, so this is a very Americanized woman. This is an Americanized woman right here. He said he must Pyro Pyro said something funny. He's talking about my drummer real quick. One of my old drummers. I haven't played with him in a while. He said he must have lived on that bottle. Oh, he's Irish. He's not a drunk. He's not an aggressive type dude, but he's still a strong dude. Wow, like when you talking about Irish and Scotsmen, they're just built different. They're not like, even like, this is why we got to get a lot of black people to travel out a little bit more, because it's like you're gonna you'll come across certain Europeans. They're not like American white people. Just because the person is white does not mean they're all the same and whatnot. I'm talking like I remember I saw this is a MLS moment I saw. There's a soccer player overseas from Switzerland by the name of Shaqiri, right? Sheridan Shaqiri. But anybody that understands how Switzerland is made, you got Italians up in there, you got former Serbians, you got Slovenians in there, like Switzerland is it's a mixture of a lot of people in there. So Shaqiri's kind of from that cloth. So it was this Canadian black goalkeeper, right? Sheridan Shaqiri's about to take the penalty, and the goalkeeper started talking ish to Sheridan Shaqiri, and I was literally like, that's not a good idea. Like, he was saying, like, you're not a man. He was saying stuff like that to him, and Sheridan Shaqiri really started looking at him. Now, mind you, the black goalkeeper is like, what, 6'4", 6'5", is a Canadian goalkeeper. I forgot his name. He actually plays for the Canadian national team. But Sheridan Shaqiri, he's like 5'8", 5'7", but you can't go to like a guy like Sheridan Shaqiri where his roots are from, right? You got a lot of Bosnians in Switzerland too. You can't just go to a guy like that and talk about you're not a man, you're a pussy and all. You can't say stuff like that to him, to these people. Like, he was saying this, I was like, bro. And mind you, anybody that knows Shaqiri got a wicked left foot. He got a lot of power behind them little legs, like a wicked left foot, especially when he was in his prime. One of the worst mistakes he ever did was he joined Bayern Munich too soon, because Arjen Robben was still in his prime. He was never going to leave. Now, Sheridan Shaqiri makes the penalty, and it's almost like he takes the ball out of the net and he starts looking down. It's weird, like how a 5'7" dude could look down on a 6'4", 6'5" black goalkeeper. And he was like, nah, you got to stand on what you said. Like, I think, unfortunately, especially there's just a lot of black dudes in the suburbs I see. They think just because somebody's white, they think they could just just run over him. I don't know. This is I done seen a lot of black dudes. They think they could just out tough somebody. I'm like, this guy, he's not, this is not an American. This is not an American, dog. Sherdan Shaqiri's not American. He's playing in America right now, but he's not American. Like the European white dudes over there, like they have hoods over there. They got slums over there. Like when you look at Zlatan Ibrahimovic, even though he reps Sweden, but his father is Bosnian, right? So like Zlatan, like these people, they grew up in hoods, dog. Like it might not, you might not think so, but if you go over there in Europe and these places, they got hoods over there, dog, and you can't just roll up on them or their family or talk to them a certain way like you would do the average street ninja. You got the same rules apply. The same rules apply. Anyway, let's go back to the topic here. So here we got Psych Central, 6 myths about postpartum depression. Okay. And right there, she's going to go over the topics when we're talking about the myths of causing harm to the baby, how PPD only affects pregnant individuals, going away on so sign of bad parenting, self-diagnosis, the developments of the birth, and you know what I mean? So let's go into that. She says debunking postpartum myths helps shine a light on a mental health condition faced by many perinatal individuals today. When a baby is born, it's usually a time of joy and excitement for a family. However, many pregnant people and their partners find that their expectations of how they would feel after the birth don't align with their experience, often due to a common postpartum complication. The percentage of people who've given birth and develop PPD varies, with low estimates around 6.5% and higher estimates hovering around 20%. So when you're seeing things that are commonly diagnosed, that means it's probably overdiagnosed, like IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. That's probably an overdiagnosed diagnosis, right? And it's probably a lower number of people that actually suffer from IBS. And I think this is the same thing with postpartum depression. So right here, the low estimates of around 6.5%. This is the verified statistic. Now 20% isn't, because they're just going by off the general data. But really, it's around 6.5%. So it's really probably around 10%, or is probably around, we can say 8% of people that of women that are actually suffering from legit postpartum depression. So right here, let's continue. He said the myths surrounding the fearful, anxious, overwhelmed, and confusing feelings that may come with PPD could possibly prevent parents from getting the help they need. If you have symptoms of PPD, you're not alone, you're not a bad parent, and there are highly successful treatment options available to help you manage your symptoms and enjoy being a parent. So right here, she's going to go over the myths of postpartum depression. So right here, myth number 1, pregnant individuals with postpartum depression harm their babies. So when I brought up earlier the woman that pushed her kid in front of the bus, and they automatically say, oh, that's just postpartum depression. Or, a woman checks out if their child is doing something harmful. Oh, that's just postpartum. No, that's actually rare. and she's gonna talk about this here. She says, the truth, postpartum depression doesn't cause people to harm their babies. Some, but not all, people with postpartum depression may experience suicidal ideation, but thoughts of harming others aren't associated with postpartum depression. Now, if you ask the average straggle, right, or the average woman talking about they're suffering from PPD, I was suffering from these thoughts and blah, 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 this and that. What you will see, you when they're talking about the thoughts that they have, that's not PPD. That's something else. That's what she's saying. That's something else. Now, right here, the news cycles that report the tragic cases of pregnant people who harm their babies are usually the extreme cases of postpartum psychosis. So this is rare. This is rare when if a pregnant individual wanting to harm their own babies, this is very rare. Very rare. This is not something common. But if you ask somebody that talked about, oh, I suffer from PPD, oh, I suffer from thoughts of me harming the baby and all this other stuff, and you're like, no, this is actually a very rare symptom. That's something else. Don't put that on postpartum. That's something else that you have. Anyway, let's continue. Filicidal, hopefully I said it right, ideation, thoughts of killing one's child is a symptom of postpartum psychosis, which is often confused with postpartum depression. Postpartum psychosis affects 2.6 out of every 1,000 people who give birth, far fewer than the 1 in 8 people who develop PPD. So basically, right there, this is not when we talking about thoughts. And let me get, let me bring up an example because I actually saved it on Instagram. Because you're gonna see all these women snitching on themselves. Let me see. I hope I can find this though. I hope I can find this. Hopefully it doesn't shut down my stream. I'm gonna bring up a post on my saved because I remembered that I just remembered that I saved it because I just want you to see the comments. It's not a video. I just want you to see the comments. But it's interesting. It's very, very interesting because if you ask, okay, when we're talking about postpartum depressions, what do you know about postpartum depression? They'll probably tell you, oh, the thoughts of hurting a child. No, that's not postpartum depression. Thoughts of self-deletion. No, that's not postpartum depression. That's postpartum psychosis, which is rare. And you already saw the verified statistics behind that. I gotta find the tweet. Let's see if I can find it real quick because I just want people to see the comments. The comments were very interesting because it was basically all these ladies that had kids basically snitching on themselves on how they really felt about their pregnancy, and it kind of goes into my point. Oh yeah, that tweet is down there. It is down there. Scrolling looking for that tweet. Oh, hopefully I didn't remove it. I should not. No, there's no way I removed it because I knew I was gonna need it. Here we go, right here. So this is why I was talking about Alpha Dog Greg earlier. Here we go. This is why I was talking about Alpha Dog Greg. You know, because I've seen him on Twitter before, and I'm like, I don't. I'm looking at the username, and I'm like, I'm not feeling that username. But right here, the reason why I bring this up because it was gonna his tweet was gonna get a primal response or a very interesting response from the woman. So right here he says postpartum depression is not an excuse to be a bish. Again, another tool used to dodge accountability and wonder why they end up single. And now with this, it might seem insensitive, but I agree with this. I agree. So right here, as everybody's like, they need to stay out of women's business. Let me see right here. And it was a lot of dudes on here trying to dismiss what he was saying, but I agree. So right here, Here you see this comment. She said, nah, that issue serious. I remember not even remembering who the F I was. Nothing made sense. It's really a battle. Now, what she's describing is not postpartum depression. That's probably not even postpartum psychosis. That's something else. That's something else. Because I guarantee you, if she was pregnant with like Michael B. Jordan's kid, I don't think that talking about remembering who I was, I don't think that would happen. Okay. But yeah. So basically all the comments is like, man, he hates women. but 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 so right here, so right here, this is how you know they don't understand what postpartum depression is. So right here, he said, is he speaking from personal experience because he's had postpartum before? Or now the way that he's saying, oh, you've never had postpartum, he's saying it like men can't have postpartum. And right here, this is where I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. Right here. Oh, it's right next. So right here, myth number 2, the pregnant individual is the only one who can develop postpartum depression. And that's a myth. So right here, the truth, approximately 8 to 10% of partners to people giving birth develop postpartum depression. So this means men can develop postpartum depression as well. Now, if you said this in this specific comment thread, they would all laugh at you. But right here, it shows you the definition that 8 to 10% of partners, that's a lot. That's a lot. 8 to 10% of partners to people who give to people giving birth. This is verified, 8 to 10%. So that means it's even higher because men don't disclose all the stuff that they're going through. That means it's actually higher, a lot higher than men give themselves credit for. 8 to 10% of partners to people giving birth develop PPD. And this is how you can tell this is a liberal writing this, because instead of just saying 8 to 10% of men, they say partners to people. Dude, only women can give birth, and that means men. So that's how you this is a liberal article. This is not a concern. This is not a trad con. This is how you can tell this is a liberal article. Oh man. Anyway, let's check out these comments real quick. Pyro says some people are just evil. They just use another word to not show how bad they are. I agree with this so much you don't even understand. Like, I believe people use words, definitions, they pervert the English word. Like, English is the most perverted language because there's like so many definitions for just one English word. You know what I mean? So we pervert the language so much to hide the monsters that a lot of us really are. So right here, when you look at that Instagram post, they're saying it like men can't suffer from postpartum depression. So right here, look at the replies. He said he must have beat the ish out of his baby mom after she had his son and it was to the oh wow. Let me see. Yes, real. It was a big blow up. Oh, she's saying that's what he did. And now we already know that's probably false. we probably know that's false. And on top of that, you got to be careful because unfortunately, I'll say this, and I'm sorry if any black women are listening to this, but when black women bring up certain stories, bring up certain statistics, they be lying. I'm talking about just straight up lying. Like, this is how you know. This is how you know. Like especially these new Cynthia G followers, they'll just bring up a stat like 95% of men are doing this, 99% of. I'm like, wait, hold that's not how stats work. Like first of all, it will be a straight lie, and then second of all, I'm like, that's not how statistics work. Like, say if when we're talking about postpartum depression, right? If it was 40%, that would be alarming. But to bring the point home, what women do with statistics, they think they have to say 90%. They don't understand just 40% is enough. Like, just how, like, just when we're talking about statistics, when you take a pie chart, right? If I say most men are suffering from this, and then I'll say like 40%, they'll say, oh no, that's nothing. 40% is enough to change. Like, you got your 40% is this reason, and that could end up being the most because the rest could be 10%, another 5% here, another 10%. Eventually, you add up to 100%. This is how I have to kind of like teach the statistics when I'm dealing with women, because I just don't think they're good with numbers. I just don't think they're really good with numbers. And when they're lying, they use certain things and statistics. I'm like, I don't think you guys understand how statistics work. And I've seen them levy allegations against certain men or certain people, and then you do the research and you're like, this did not happen, you know. But like I said, I can't really trust the stuff that black women say via Twitter or via Instagram ever since I went on that panel of ladies, of feminists, of single mothers, mind you. And when I went on the panel, it was because there was a woman still defending the accuser of Kai Senat's friend when she said that she got raped by the guy, and the guy was like, no, I have this sex tape. Look at the sex tape I got. She said that she was asleep. She didn't know what happened, but he has the tape, and it's clear that you were very aware. She said she said she wasn't drunk. She said she didn't have no sedatives, no nothing. She said she was asleep. She didn't take nothing. But when you look at the sex tape, that clearly was not the situation. And there was women on the thread that said, "Man, you played us. You had us attacking his Twitter, and he didn't even do nothing." But you still had a large demographic of women, even with videotape evidence, saying, "Oh, that doesn't mean he didn't take advantage." And I was like, and I went on the panel to be like, "You guys can't be serious. You guys cannot be serious." And the stuff that they were saying, it scared me, bro. I'm gonna say this here, and I know people gonna be mad at me. Probably a lot of FBA dudes are gonna be mad at me, but I'll say this: in the future, if you're hiring a black man, an American raised black man, you're gonna have to do a background search on who his mother was, because if she was a single mother, she was probably has that same mentality. I'm talking about videotape evidence, and they were saying that he was. I was so shocked, and I was trying to bring up other cases. Like, look, you got this case here. Look at what she does. Look at her history. I remember there was one woman on the panel trying to bring up, lawyer mumble jumble to me. I'm like, stop doing the stuff that white men told you to do. I already dealt with this when I was a kid. Stop doing that to me. Bringing up words that she don't know to throw me off. I knew what she was, because this happened to me when I was a kid. Like, I already know this game. I was like, that has nothing to do with the point. But she was basically trying to be like, oh, like legally, that's not the point. There's videotape evidence. She's a liar. Look what she said here. They would never address the point. I was like, I could not believe I was on that panel for like 2 hours. They ended up kicking me off the panel because I spoke too much facts. And there was like 2 male simps on there, and I asked one of the male simps a question. I was like, yo, so do you think that Kobe Bryant actually did what he did, even with the evidence that came out? And he was like, yes, and I'll tell you why. And I was like, there's no hope for you, bro. There's no hope for you. I'm like, there's absolutely no hope for you. He said, man, the comments are wild. She exposed herself. Well, let me put that on there. But like, yeah, like, I'll say this. I know people are gonna be mad at me when I say this in the future. I'm talking about past 20, once we hit 2035, 2040, 2035 or 2040, any single mom raised black man, I'm talking about, this is like serious, because even back then, you'll have the single moms, black single mothers back there. They would take responsibility. They would try to move to the suburbs to better their lives. But now you got you got these educated single baby mothers, so-called educated, and they're crazy. I'm talking about they're insane. Like they cannot be reached, dog. Like I was shocked when I was on. I was shocked. I was they started putting things that, oh, you're a what they call, what they say, a predator sympathizer, and I'm like, the video evidence is right there. I couldn't believe. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. I just could not believe it. I was like, and the black male simps on that panel, after that day, I was like, yeah, it's official. Black males are the biggest simps in the world, probably in the world. I said black men are the biggest simps. I know Undead Chronic says white males, but I was trying to warn Undead Chronic before he got attacked. I was trying to, before he got attacked by the black male simps on Twitter. I was trying to tell him. I was trying to tell him. I was like, you don't understand. Like, these new black male simps, they're like, remember when AJ brought up the Clubhouse thing? Clubhouse was a disaster. That is a disaster. What a disaster that was. That was a disaster. I'm talking about, there were dudes. Some of your favorite pro-black dudes after Clubhouse, they ended up turning MGTOW because the women on there, the stuff that they were saying was ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. He said black men are more for black women than black women are for themselves. Yeah, these are facts, unfortunately. But like I said, in the few, once it's 2040, whatever black male that you hire, you're gonna have to do a background search on that guy. And that's gonna eventually happen to all kids. But I'm telling you, because I'm talking about the minds that they're being raised by. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, the video is right there. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. I'll give you another, because people don't understand what we're dealing with, because we're not talking about hood chicks. We're not talking about hood. These are educated black women, dog, that are saying some of the craziest stuff I've ever heard in my life. I'm talking about in my life. I've never heard anything. The stuff I'm talking about. Dude, I've never even heard hood chicks say some of the stuff that I'm hearing these women say. Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example real quick. Oh man, because I saved it. I saved it on my YouTube, one of my YouTube. Let me look this up real quick, because it's on my YouTube's watch later. Undead Chronic, I hope it's on Undead Chronic's channel. Because this was the stuff that I would hear via Clubhouse. People would leak these audio clips from Clubhouse and stuff like this. I think Undead Chronic, he might have gotten it from Clubhouse, but basically you'll have these black women panels, and they'll say stuff, and you'll be like, I've never even heard clan members say these things about black men. It'll be like, what? Hold on, right here. I'm about to show you. Real quick. Just give me 1 minute. Give me exactly 60 seconds, and I'll pop up with it. Because I was like, oh my God, there's no way. There's absolutely no way. Man, hold on for a sec. I gotta find it. Right here. Because it was on Undead Chronic's channel, and he uploaded it, because people don't understand what black men are dealing with. What we're talking about when we're talking about what they're dealing with their own women. And I was happy Undead Chronic was talking about, the damage that, women like Cynthia G and these people are causing. Oh shoot, I don't know. Cause it's oh no. Cause this was on Undead Chronics channel. He leaked it right here. Right here. Right here. Let's hit play. I found it. It's just loading up. It's gonna hopefully it doesn't take an eternity, but okay, I thought it was about to freeze for a sec. Good. Good. And the title of this video is I'll show you. I'm gonna show you the title of this video. Oh shoot, AJ's live right now. I didn't know. Shoot, that's my bad. I didn't mean to go live at the same time, but right here, hold on. Let me show you this real quick. If I can share. So right there, the title of this of this thing, it says police brutality turns black women on. And the title sounds crazy, but if you hear what these women say in this short 1 minute and 30 seconds, if you listen to this 1 minute and 30-second clip, you're gonna see. And this is the stuff that AJ was talking about. Because the stuff that I would hear via Clubhouse, via YouTube, via the audio links on Twitter, it depressed me. It straight up depressed me. So right here. You know what? I might have to, because it's doing way too much loading. I should be able to.
I wanted to say really quickly, with black men and these mammies.
Yeah, so what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna have to download the video. I'm gonna have to download it. But it was crazy. Like it was crazy to me though. It was absolutely insane. I'm gonna have to download it. Crap. But I really want people to listen to this because it was on Undead Chronics channel. That was interesting to me. I was like, what? I was like, okay, this is what we doing? Oh man. Okay, right here. I got to download it real quick. Here we go. Hopefully the tab should be shared. Let me share the tab because this is you mean Red Pill Mike? Red Pill Mike? I hope that's what you mean by RPM. Red Pill Mike? Oh yeah, bullet bag. Yeah, I've heard them call us that. Bullet bags and stuff like that. That shit's crazy. I probably have been on RPM's channel. There was a point in like 2021 where I would be like by myself or whatever, and I would have my YouTube mix on, whatever, and it would be a lot of people I was listening to at one time. So it was probably Red Pill Mike. Because a lot of the people, because I got YouTube Premium, so I don't even be looking at the screen. So I don't even know what he looks like if he puts his face out. And a lot of RP creators, they don't put their face out there, and that's actually smart because we have this thing called doxing now, and this is a problem. This is a problem. This is going to be a big problem. But I got it. I got the thing. Let me not waste time. So right here. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they say about black men getting beat up by the police.
I just wanted to say really quickly, with black men and these mammies always talking about how unfeminine black women are and how unattractive we are. I was wondering why no one thought to say and voice their opinion that when I look at these white men they are the epitome of masculine, and watching some of these police officers manhandle these black men in the street is very attractive, and it's a turn on, and I'm wondering, does anybody else feel like that?
Hold on.
Yes, Lord.
Y'all off the chain, okay? Y'all are off the proverbial chain.
That's Discord talk. That's
Fair use. I hope you guys are listening.
I'm telling
Oh,
you.
okay.
Yeah, that's Discord talk.
I was like, why has nobody said that? Because I'm like, that's masculine. You talk about masculine.
We say that all the time in Discord, Tanasia.
you say that for the back.
Now, I want you to hear the voices. You got a straggle, you got some educated, you hear their voice tones. These are different types of black women. These are not just like, oh, this is one type of black woman. These are like different. This is a diverse black woman panel. So, and when you hear the person that brought up the point, that sounds like one of those really educated, very liberal, crazy libtards that went through college and came out a Marxist, if I may say. But you hear one sound white. No, that's she's black. Pyro, she's black. She sounds white, but she's black. Trust me, she's black. she I promise you. I know black women that sound like that. She's black. And this is what happens to because unfortunately, this is the stuff that people don't want to talk about when we're talking about black women in the suburbs. What happens is when you have certain black women that live in the suburbs, or if they lived in a decent neighborhood and they ended up moving to the suburbs, right? They end up getting insulated from the hood ninjas, right? So they don't really know what those hood ninjas are about until they go to college, right? So you got like a black girl, she don't know what these hood ninjas are about. She's gonna get played like a fiddle. I'm talking about like a fiddle by these unemployed degenerates, one of the drug dealers that she's messing with. She's gonna catch an STD. She's gonna get a pregnancy. She's gonna get something, a raw deal out of it. I'm talking about she's gonna get a raw deal out of it, and then they come back to panels like this to voice their displeasure. But really, what they're very inexperienced with hood ninjas, so they get easily played by these people. You know what I'm saying? And they end up taking their hatred for them getting played or their life getting ruined, we put in quotation marks, and they take it out on the rest of black men, right? If it didn't work out with that one dude. And really what they should have done is, if you're a black girl that grew up in the suburbs, right? And now all of a sudden you want to date, you probably should have found somebody in high school already, whatever the race. What I'm talking about, whatever the race, right? But because you already know how that works. A lot of BWs, when they're looking for black men, they're not looking for the average black man. They're either looking for Pookie, Ray Ray. Like basically, if you're not an athlete or you're not popular on campus, they're not going to take somebody in the middle of the pack. They're going to take a Pookie, Ray Ray, or somebody that's borderline gay. That's how it works. You know what I mean? And that happens with other races, but it's pretty clear cut when you're talking about the black community. The type of dudes that they go after, they're clearly red flags. But it is what it is.
You have to save that one for the back room when we got the door closed. I can't with y'all.
But look how they're laughing. So these were the people that were supposedly marching, right, against police brutality, allegedly. These were the people that were part of Black Lesbians Matter, but really, it's never been about the black men that they're defending. It's clearly another agenda, and this is why I try to warn people at that time. The reason why I didn't support Black Lesbians Matter is because I know the people that are funding it, the people behind it. Sorge Joros, we're gonna call him on the channel. Big George, Big G, the real top G, I think he died though. Is he still alive? But anyway, when you see the people that are behind it, and I remember somebody that's part of the pro-black movements. They actually put me onto this around 2015 in term because that's where the Black Lesbians Matters. That's when they started coming into prominence around 2015 or 2016. And somebody put me on like, look, nah, these are the people behind this movement. So that's not a movement that you can trust. But these like women like this that be on this panel, they're quick to dox you, but they'll say stuff like this and act like that we're not supposed to know about this. So it's very interesting.
Hard R for long.
Okay. Yeah, I'm talking about, we say the hard R so hard, it sounds like we growling back there around this bitch.
And she's not lying.
Oh,
When they're
Tanisha, you
when they're in Clubhouse and they be doing that stuff, they be calling they say N-words with the hard R, right? They be calling like you said, they call black men bullet bags and whatnot. They really have a disdain, you know. And I'll even say, well, you know, when we talk about Cynthia G, I still cannot believe YouTube allowed her to keep her platform for over for over a years, even when she was literally advocating for the abortion of all black male fetuses. And she was allowed to keep her platform, and it took like a older older middle-aged white woman to bring to YouTube's attention, you know, there's a lady on here that's advocating for genocide, literally, and she's allowed to just keep her channel. So, you know, it is what it is on that end. You know, this is the stuff that ninjas have to deal with. But eventually that stuff, yeah, harder. Yeah, she's not lying. Look how they was laughing. And mind you, these ladies, they're not 20 years old. They're not in their 20s. These are 30-year-olds. These are 30-year-olds. Now they sound a lot older. They sound like witches, right? They sound like witches the way they was cackling. But like I said, these are younger millennial. These are 30-year-old millennial women, right? Some Gen Z women in that panel. You know what I'm saying? So this is the stuff that, you know, unfortunately, you know, black men have to deal with.
better come back there with us. Then you hear it.
Yeah, that's why the Chauvin video on Pornhub.
You see? So you hear these comments now. For some reason, YouTube doesn't want to demonetize stuff like this. They don't like. It's interesting the stuff that they decide to demonetize, that stuff that they keep. You know, it's very interesting to me. But like I said, it is what it is on that end. Let's go back to postpartum depression. Let's see, stop sharing. Let's go back. So let's hit. Let me see. I use the hard R only making jokes about slaves, but no, they're using it like to make fun of like actual victims. You know what I mean? Like when I talk about I'll say this, I'll use the hard R when I'm talking about what's his name? When Star Report would be talking about he's a liar and he's a N-word. I've used that statement on a couple of people. I think one black woman, one black man. I'm trying to think of the situation, what it was. But I remember I did that like it was a black woman saying so. She said something crazy about somebody. Yeah, like Start Report. His favorite line to use. He's like, he's a liar and he's an N-word. that is hilarious. That is hilarious. You know. But like I said, like group of women like that, they'll say like stats and they're like, this doesn't exist. You know, that's why I can't trust that group of women anymore. I can't. When it comes to stats or when it comes to talk about certain issues, I can't trust them at face value. I can't. Just off of just the stuff that I've seen, I can't trust them anymore on that end. So let's go back to the main event. Let's go back to the main event. Postpartum depression. I was on number 2. So let's go over number 2 real quick. The truth: 8 to 10% of partners to people giving birth develop PPD. Partners may exhibit slightly different systems that include restricted expression of emotions, irritability, and indecisiveness that develops 3 to 6 months postpartum after birth. As with the birthing parent, you see, when they're using terms as birthing parent, that's how you know you're dealing with a liberal. As with the birthing parent partner, PPD can last for a year or more. So, bottom line, men can suffer from postpartum depression, even though they're not the ones giving birth directly, but they can also suffer from postpartum depression too. So, right, we're going to number 3, the myth number 3: postpartum will go away on its own. Now, the truth, she says, postpartum depression is a mental health condition that requires treatment in order to manage symptoms. Our society tends to view depression as a mental mindset to stick it out or that requires an attitude change. She says, however, approximately 5% of those with PPD report that symptoms last for 3 years or more. Okay, so myth number 4: postpartum depression is a sign that you will be a bad parent. And the truth is, postpartum depression isn't an indication of your parenting skills. So basically, she's trying to show that if you have PPD, doesn't mean that you're a bad parent. Understandable. So right here, this is another big one right here. This is what I want to focus in on. She says this is a myth. You'll know that you have PPD. Now, in that comment section I showed you, is basically all of the women acting like they knew that they had PPD. And that was probably not it. That was probably something else. So, right here, the truth is, most of us are bad at self diagnosing, and we're often so isolated after birth that others may not be able to help us realize something is wrong. The changes in your behavior and mood might not be as obvious to you as they are to someone else. While it's normal to feel exhausted and overwhelmed after having a baby, the effects of PPD may lead to drastic mood changes, hopelessness, and anxiety that go beyond typical new parent fears. If you're not sure if you have PPD, talk with a doctor or your child's pediatrician at your baby's well child checkup. The doctor or pediatrician may be able to determine if you're experiencing PPD and suggest treatment options that best support your needs. So you have a whole generation, like I said, it's so commonly diagnosed. But right here, she says, she's basically saying you won't really know that you have PPD until you have it. But everybody else is so sure. So somebody's lying. Somebody's lying. Either she's lying here or the regular 304s of the world are lying. And I'm going to stick to the latter on that end. And number 6, PPD develops in the first weeks after birth. She says that is a myth. The truth, she says, PPD can develop several months after childbirth. So she says, while PPD can begin in the 3 to 6 weeks after birth, it can also develop several months later. Studies have found as little as 4.5% of pregnant people show signs of PPD at 6 weeks postpartum, and nearly 68% show signs at 4 months postpartum. So, bottom line, it only shows, most symptoms show like months after birth. Now, I've seen TV shows, the way they've showed it, postpartum depression, and what really was postpartum psychosis, where they will show that literally right after the birth, the woman will just be this like recluse, just like, and really that's, people will say that was postpartum depression. No, that's actually postpartum psychosis. But the way they show it on TV, they act like it happens like literally the day after, like a week after. In reality, it actually develops months after, which is that's very interesting. So her takeaway is PPD is a mental health condition. You aren't weak or a poor parent if you're experiencing it. Feelings of irritability, guilt, overwhelming sadness, and anxiety that last longer than 2 weeks postpartum are potentially signs of PPD. If you believe you are experiencing symptoms of PPD, consider speaking with a healthcare professional for additional support. And help is available and blah, 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 blah. But it's interesting. This is a very interesting article. It actually shows you that most people are very, how do I say this? Very ignorant on how postpartum. He said, "Man, that you had me dying." But it shows you that most of the people that claim postpartum, or the women that are using it as a crutch, they're just using it as a crutch. They don't even really know what it is. And this is going to be the test on this channel. Just say I know a dude that suffers from postpartum depression, and look at the reaction from the woman. If it's nothing, if it's anything short of sympathy, if there's no sympathy from it, or a look of confusement, she doesn't know what PPD is. That's the test. This is what you got to do when you start testing the normies. You got to test the normies on this end, right? You got to start testing the normies. All right, so we hit the 2-hour mark. I'm going to sign off on this. I went a little bit over time. I'm gonna check into AJ's stream real quick. I'm gonna have to end this stream. I'm gonna check into AJ to see what's happening with on that end, because I didn't know. I had no idea he was gonna stream that day. This is why I try to stream earlier in the day if I can. I don't want to overlap on the times. But anyway, thank you, Pyro, for tuning in. And you saw that video. You saw that video I showed you from Undead Chronic. And that's interesting, because I was supposed to do a video on that on my channel, but I never got around to it. But that video, that says a lot. That says a lot, talking about how white police officers abusing black men is it turns them on, and how it's funny to them. It's a bit interesting, a bit interesting, apparently, but we're the predators, right? We're the grape apologists, right? And they say stuff like that. That's a bit interesting. But anyway, let's sign off on this end. My takeaway: postpartum depression is a myth. That's my belief. I'm sticking to it. I think it's something else. Now, if we were talking about postpartum psychosis, okay, we're working with something. But when we're talking about psychosis, that word psychosis, there's a negative connotation to it. So people are not going to claim it like they won't claim narcissistic personality disorder. So we'll go into that probably at another time. But thank you for tuning in. I'm going to end the stream right here. I'm going to check in with you via AJ stream. We out.